Hi, everybody, and welcome. If you're watching live, you're watching Rex Sikes TV, and I'm Rex Sikes, and I'm your host for today. And for other shows, we've got Create Your Best Life with Rex, we've got Rex Sikes Movie Beat, and today we have Rex and Friends. And I want you to stay tuned. I want you to share this out right now if you can, and get other people here because we're going to be talking about some really important topics. We're going to talk about AI and how to use that to drive your business into more success. We're going to talk about mindset and the importance of mindset and how that relates to your journey. We're going to talk movies and AI and animation and those kinds of things. And we're going to be talking about marketing and influence. So we've got a lot of different topics. And then afterwards, we have a special reveal and then a workshop, a webinar in AI and how to develop great AI viral videos to, again, drive success to your business. I'm here with my co-host Danny Walsh. He is a marketing and tech guru, and he's going to be leading the workshop on AI later on. So you're going to want to stay tuned, and you're going to make sure that your staff, your team, your people, your colleagues, your associates are all with us today. On top of that, who's coming up very shortly is Jeff Olm. Now, Jeff Olm is a friend. He's a filmmaker. He's a producer, director. He's worked post-production in a variety of different things on movies like Titanic, The Revenant, Castaway, the Marvel movies, and scores of all the big name movies that you're familiar with, TV, and so much more. Now, he knows his stuff, and he's going to be sharing with us important tips and concepts about AI and how to use it successfully. Jeffrey Ross is a marketer extraordinaire, and he is a person who knows how to influence and persuade and to get people to pay attention and get engaged so that you can more easily communicate with them, help them, add value to them, and then also invite them with an offer to join you. And so we're going to talk with Jeff about that and again about AI. And Sandra Horton, my gosh, she's a wonderful corporate business leader. She's known as the leader with a heart. And we're going to be talking mindset and the qualities of taking charge of your life, your business, and we're tying this all together, remember, with an AI workshop, but taking charge of your life and your business and being able to lead a life that's exemplary and inspire others, again, to join you and to drive success to your business and to theirs. So we're all about adding value and making things happen. This isn't just fluff. This isn't just talk. This is the practicum in driving yourself forward. Because what happens with a lot of people, I believe, oddly enough, is they get very comfortable being where they're at. They complain about where they're at, and they don't move from where they're at unless something really comes along to shake them up. Well, and the world is kind of being shaken up right now in a variety of different ways, but we're here to shake you awake into what you can do positively and productively and powerfully to make a real difference for yourself and those people you care about and the world. So we're all about adding value. I've got a great group of friends, a team here today to help us all do that. And again, please go ahead and share this out. Share it on your stream. Invite other people while we're watching. And thank you for being here because you're devoting your time, your energy, your effort for this, and we want to deliver the value. We want to deliver the goods to you, and we appreciate you. Now, there's also a chat room, and so you can leave comments in the chat room. And hopefully we'll get them up on the screen, or if you have a question, we can get them up on the screen. But right now I want to bring on Danny Walsh, and then we're going to bring up Jeff Olm in just a moment. So Danny, what do you say? How are you doing today, and what about we're doing today that is exciting and will add value to people?
Hey, hopefully, is this working? Just let me know if you can hear me. You've got me? Cool. So thank you, Rex. An amazing group of people lined up as well to come and join us. And with everything changing in the marketing landscape, the business landscape, as a result of AI, quite often that can affect the way that business leaders lead. It can affect the way that people think about the future. And there's some of the things that I kind of want to talk about and kind of lead into later. Yes, we've got a workshop in a couple of hours' time, which everybody's welcome to come and join. But in the meantime, I know we've got some really awesome discussion, some really awesome topics, and kind of melding all these things together because your mindset will be affected by technology and your technology will be affected by your mindset, right? And by working your plan now, when you're effectively riding a wave that changes direction pretty much day to day, right? You need to make that plan for the future, but you've also got to be future minded. Is like, there is a chance that this path could deviate at any moment as technology and technology gets better. So there's lots of things going on in the AI world that's affecting all of the other things as we know them, from the way that you staff your business to the way that you promote your business to the way that you literally use your computer. So AI is so big. 2 years ago, we were talking about, hey, let's catch the AI wave. Now we're well and truly riding this, and I know we've got some amazing people coming up who can add some insight, some thought, and some value to this discussion. So hopefully, give people out there a chance to pause, a chance to plan, and then a chance to move forward in a way that really makes a difference. Does that make sense?
It does, and thank you for that. And what I want to say is we're going to have Jeff Olm up in just a second, and I'm so thrilled to do that. But before we do, is there a way that you can put the link for the webinar somewhere on the screen where people can actually get it and they can enroll right now, because they should enroll right now if they haven't yet, because there are people enrolled and we're still taking enrollments, and it's free to enroll, and the value you're going to get is way, way, way up there. So you're going to want to do that, but do it now so that you're sure to get a seat, and do it there. Okay, so let's bring up Jeff Olm and Ed. Jeff, awesome. Jeff, how are you? Jeff is amazing. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey guys. Oh, look at me. I'm so amazing I got my finger over the camera. But yeah, I'm coming to you from Madison, Wisconsin. I moved to Madison, or the Madison area, 6 years ago after 35 years in Los Angeles. And it's really great. Today I'm going to be speaking to a group of student filmmakers at the Madison Film Festival, talking, of course, about AI. And it's really changed a lot in the filmmaking business. As a visual effects artist, we use machine learning tools for many years to help automate workflow for rotoscoping and creating things like that. But it's been slow in live action because there's the whole six finger thing, and there's some things that AI just does that doesn't allow you complete control. And as a visual effects artist, you're taking direction from a director, and if you can't get rid of the six fingers, you got to go to something else. And it's a lot of trial and error, so it's a crapshoot. But the nice thing is it evolves and changes every day. I mean, it's just amazing. Every day, Mid Journey, Runway gets better. um it's and there's just so many companies that are throwing money at it. You don't have to be necessarily a software developer to use AI. You can use a commercial, off the shelf, AI software, and then customize it to your application, whether you're doing corporate videos, weddings, um, uh, commercials, or like I've been doing, for motion picture films and things like that. So it's really evolving a lot, and there's a lot of tools out there. As a visual effects artist and editor and colorist, I embrace those tools because it's all automating things. There's now automatic picture color matching. There's different, like I said, rotoscoping. There's just so many of the manual things where you're sitting there, and it's like, boy, I'd really like to do this, but it'll take me an hour or two. Well, now you can, like, set it up and automate the process, and then move on to something else while the AI machine crunches and does the manual labor. Will this affect jobs? Yeah, it's going to affect jobs, especially in countries like India, that has grown a very large paint roto rig removal market. All that stuff is really going to be automated. So you, as an artist or creator, just really need to embrace the technology and things like that. Now, there's some. Last night I was meeting with a friend of mine, who's a writer, and of course, writers are definitely, you know, have either strong or feelings and things like that. So, they don't want AI to write the actual script, but what it can do is it can give you prompts so that it kind of guides you in the writing process. It also cuts down on writer's block. So if you kind of hit a dead end or something like that, you can just go and use Chat GTP or one of the other things, and just say, hey, give me some ideas or scenarios. The other thing where it really comes into play is bidding and locations and breaking down a script. That's something where you can put in a script and into Chat GTP, and then it'll help break down your budget, locations, number of and there's other software that does that too. That's more customized than Chat GTP. But Danny, if you'd be so kind to potentially bring up the slides, let's see how the technology goes. That's great. So basically, in the production process, now this is going to be recorded so that you'll all be able to see, this later. And oh, good, I can actually zoom in on it so I can see my own slides. So this is the full pipeline. This is the full pipeline where a normal production starts. You start with your pre-production, then you go into your production. And, in pre-production is script writing, visualization, planning out things, and it's always best to plan things out the best you can. Production, of course, is where you actually shoot. And now there's actually one of the things you can do is use live actors, use a virtual production stage or green screen, and then have all your backgrounds generated with AI, which is really great. Before you used to have to use Unreal Engine, be a 3D artist, and and go from there. But now almost anybody can do it. And really, one of the things I know they're going to talk about today is the importance of prompts and how well prompts work. And that's really the key to everything. And then, of course, post production, where I've kind of made my niche for a while. In addition to directing and producing, there are automated editing things for simple types of things. Like I said, we've been using machine learning for years, but probably the biggest thing is sound, is what AI can do with sound. You can have all kinds of background noise, all kinds of stuff, and put it into, like I use Blackmagic Resolve, which is a free color correction and sound mixing program. And I may have like background noise or things like that, where there's certain things that couldn't be avoided, crowd noise, truck noise, things like that. The AI audio tools can go in and really do a great job with that. And then, of course, AI helps with distribution by helping you target your audience, target the commercials, target the marketing, to attract a larger audience for your film, your short, or whatever you're trying to get out to the world. Okay, Danny, next slide, please. Okay, so regarding script writing and development, like I said, some people really feel strongly about not using it, Chat GTP, things like that. Um, and then where I feel it's really strong is storyboarding and concept art. Just breaking down your concept. Mid-journey, runway, all those are very great to just type in your ideas and then give you a storyboard that you can either shoot or further refine in the AI packages. And then, of course, pitch decks and visualization, and that's something that Rex and I have been using pretty strongly. We got a project coming up, and Runway's great for that. The one of the things that I use to put together this presentation, which is really great, is Gamma. Um, Gamma.ai is a really great thing to put together PowerPoints and things where you have a bunch of thoughts, and it will put up where ChatGTP doesn't necessarily give you images. What this Gamma creation tool does is gives you everything, backgrounds. I can say futuristic, all that. And then, of course, casting and scheduling. What it does is the scheduling tools allow you to do really great things as a casting director, as an AD, as a director and producer, to be able to have some of your scheduling tasks, automatically created is a really great thing. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, as I talked about what virtual production, the tools, Unreal Engine, Disguise, and things like that. What what typically you do in the past would be you'd shoot green screen and then shoot your back plate. So now what you can do is pre-select your back plate, render out your images, your background, and it can be completely virtual, and you can move around on the virtual production set, and it'll go and track you, and completely put you in that scene. One of the shows that's used that successfully is Disney's Mandalorian, and it's really, really cut costs, quite a bit. Regarding AI cinematography, it goes back to helps you get your shot list really set up, and the storyboarding that you can actually have, select lenses, you can select lighting conditions, or even set up your entire lighting scheme and print that out so that when you get to set, um, the lighting director will give that to the gaffers, and then you don't have to point and say this, that, there. Everybody has a diagram, and the more planned out you are, really the better it is. And then synthetic elements, like I said, the backgrounds and things like that. The ability. So I'm a traditional 2D guy, but the real ability now to go in and for I've done this for 35 to 40 years, to be able to use my eye and to I've done camera editing, color correction, now directing and producing, but to be able to almost do the bulk of that, the initial work by myself or with an assistant, and then kind of divvy it out to the team so it goes a lot quicker. It's really enabled to to speed things up. Oh, okay, so that's what I got here. And yeah. So anybody from the panel have any questions or
Yeah,
anything?
I did, and we'll bring in the panel. But I wanted to ask you, you disappeared. Are you there? Oh, there
Yes.
you are. Okay.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
so you've worked major movies. I mentioned Titanic and Castaway and Revenant, and the Marvel movies and different things. Can you? And then you said I'm a traditional 2D guy, but can you kind of say how this is changing that landscape from the big movies you worked on, and how much it would cost, and why it costs that way, and what people can do now that's different? I mean, we're doing a project together, as you mentioned, and some of the stuff, we would have had to have purchased, and in the past have purchased lots of this different kinds of software that's now all kind of done by chat GPT or by AI in ways that before would have cost fortunes, and you'd have to have different programs. So can you
Yeah. Yeah,
address
the big thing is that you're still going to need a lot of different. I mean, there's a lot of options available, and new ones come around every day. So you really need to adapt to the technology, because things that may be pertinent now, might get. One of the big things is copyright infringement. I know Disney and Universal have actually filed a lawsuit, against some of the AI, generative AI creation software. So, it's important to be flexible and to be able to kind of legally cover your butt with, using that software. But it's in the words of the great Jim Cameron, and never bet against Jim Cameron. In talking about AI, will less people need to be hired, and things like that? And he basically summed it up by, what AI does is increases your efficiency and allows you to do more iterations of a particular scene, effect, or concept, things like that. So, where it might say, there's a scene that might normally take 5 days. for a full CG scene, or or 5 weeks, you can at least, and Jim thought, maybe you can cut half the time. So, that's a big thing, because, but producers are always chasing budgets around, and so, I think it's almost more than half, depending on the task. But the tricky thing is, especially for a guy like Jim Cameron, when you'd show him stuff on Titanic or on Avatar or something, he already has the vision of the movie in his head. And until you deliver that on screen, he's not going to let up on you, and, or potentially fire you or reassign you, or something. But yeah, it's one of those things where he says, he says half, and, I think it's at least that. So producers are obviously going to gravitate to that. And, as artists, we need to be adaptable, for that. I think that was the last slide.
Yeah, no, so let's bring in the rest of the panel. Danny, Jeff Ross, Sandra Horton, and anyone have a question or comment. Let's open it up for Jeff, for Jeff Olm. And Jeff Olm is at a film festival. He's going to be talking in just a little bit, because he's got to give a presentation there. So we want to thank you for being here and doing this with us now. I will see you on Thursday too, by the way.
Yes.
For our meeting. Right.
Yep.
Oh, and say hi to anyone you might see at the film festival for me.
Will do.
Jeff, I wanted to jump in. It's really interesting, and thanks for, it was awesome new knowledge. I really feel that we've shifted from, like, our own intelligence has shifted. Before, we were very much about a knowledge economy. Now we're moving to a cognitive economy, and we're shifting now. How before it's all about what you knew. Now it's how can you be the most adaptable. So are you seeing more success now in the actors that you're working with? Are they more adaptable? Like, how are you bringing that AI adaptability into everything that you're doing?
I mean, like I said, the big thing, as far as, like, you can actually, if you go through it, you can do a reshoot or do a alternative performance, with things. But there's a lot of actors, and I mean, it actually kind of, the actors, the Screen Actors Guild strike, and the writers strike. I mean, all that was, all over AI, and kind of really crippled the industry. I mean, many people in Los Angeles, London, and all over the world still haven't recovered, from that. But of course, everybody's protecting their image. So when you go in and you sign a deal or something, it always says, "Hey, we're going to use your likeness, and we're going to use that, on anything." I mean, even if you're walking around your office and somebody's shooting, they'll say, "Hey, if you're in the shot, we're going to use you." So, Rex being, in the Screen Actors Guild, and things like that. Obviously, we want to protect the image of the actors and things like that. But what you can do, you can, if, like, say they blew a line or something like that, you can actually now replace that line if you have enough things. And then one of the other things that's really cool technology for, like, I'm not a guy that grew up, using subtitles, but you can actually, for short form, corporate things and stuff like that, you can feed in, like a English image, and things like that, and then say, "Hey, spit out French and change the mouth movements so that it looks natural, without having to dub it." The other thing is the dubbing process can now be, fully automated. So, like I said, coming from post background and things, it helps me as a director, because I know what can be done in post, so I can do fewer takes, that type of stuff. But yeah, that's really where the tools are really growing with leaps and bounds, are in the pre-production with the storyboarding and the helping with the writing, and then in post-production with fixing the audio, fixing the image, and that type of stuff that we used to have to do manually. And now we have tools that help us work faster, which is the most important thing.
Jeff, I'm all pro AI and pro human and all of that sort of thing, and I love you've probably know a lot about this space more than I could probably forget about. But I'm very interested to learn from your perspective. AI is a wild west, right? And there's no real regulation around it at the moment, but there is a conversation that I think we all, as pioneers in this space, need to continue to have to shape. And that's how do we sort of navigate and prevent this whole deep faking and cloning space.
Wow.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's happening in your arena, in your world, that's sort of trying to prevent that.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to necessarily be able to prevent that, or we'll be, and, and there's actually, between the ponds, there's a very different idea of it where the EU, I just spent 2 months. I was in actually Eurasia. I was in Kazakhstan working on a film. So I was very much up on, watching BBC London, things like that. So I know that the EU is trying to regulate that pretty heavily. And I think it's kind of funny because over here in the US, our president's meme people are, going all in, on things with AI and things like that. And now he's getting a taste of his own medicine because Gavin Newsom is actually using that to expose his tactics, and people are going, oh, why are you doing that? And it's just like, hey, he's been doing it the last 10 years, 8 years, or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see, because all of a sudden one day in the US we could see a presidential order that it's just like, oh, AI. But it is interesting too, where his main things when he went over to Qatar to get his 747, he announced large data centers over there and things like that. And there's nothing worse than a data center in the desert where you don't have any water. Wisconsin was lucky enough. We're going to have a Foxconn factory, and they had negotiated water rights to the Great Lakes. Well, that deal fell through. Well, Microsoft picked it up, and Microsoft is now building a huge data center in southern Wisconsin. And part of the deal was the water rights to Lake Michigan. So yeah, in a rambling form, I just covered a lot of stuff, but hopefully I answered your question a little bit.
Yeah, of course. It's a wild west for sure.
Let me just also add that with any technology, it was, I think Arthur C. Clarke said, any technology appears as magic, when it first is introduced to people, because we aren't used to it. So there's a lot of stuff about this that is ripe for criticism, and then also we haven't yet found the good uses, nor all of the not so good uses, that are coming down the pike. So we should be concerned, but also use it. Again, any tool is used to the degree that the user of the tool is.
Say, Rex, is it's in this space where any revolution, you look back through history, it's all turned upside down a little bit until the good things start to really come out of it. It's the pendulum thing. It goes too far to the left, too far to the right to find that middle ground. I love the fact that what you're talking about, Jeff, is what it's doing is it's helping you to be actually more creative and unlocked. I truly believe that we're heading into a Renaissance era, where humanity is going to be lifted up in this space and get more creative in that. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. No, I think, oddly enough, just thinking about it a little bit, we all complain a little bit, and I know Rex has felt this a little bit with the algorithms. So I think they're really going to the algorithms are going to be fighting AI itself. It's going to end up being some kind of weird robot battle, in the cloud with, AI shutting down other AI things. I think the biggest thing is, those on the distribution platforms, I know YouTube came out with some things against deep fakes, but the ones that really got to watch themselves are the networks and things like that, where, I mean, Fox has already gotten a big lawsuit, over things and stuff like that. And I mean, they're their own worst enemy sometimes of, putting stuff out there that may have not been vetted. But I mean, really, if across the pond, if you really take a look at what Gavin Newsom is doing, it's pretty incredible what their social media team is doing right now. And they're using all the tools. So that's something to keep an eye on. But especially AI in political ads, it's definitely, I mean, there's got to be there has to be some form of regulation, because you can basically make a scene with somebody doing anything that you want, and good or bad.
What we teach with our community is it's very much it's AI plus your heart equals your superpower, right? Let's keep the human in the loop.
That's where Sandra's going to come in too, because what I was saying earlier was the tool is only as it can be used inappropriately or appropriately. That depends on the user of it, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this panel and this platform and this project, is to say we need to be responsible for how we use this material or these tools or AI or whatever you want to call it, so that we promote the best of what we do as humans, not the worst. And we're seeing both right now. We're seeing a lot of the worst, and it's being addressed, and Jeff is pointing that out. But there is still hope that we wise up, and we start using it to promote good things. Now, there was a question from somebody. It kind of was answered before, but I do want to come back to it. And that was a question asked by
Cecilia. Had a question
about AI will steal your job. What do you say about that? When and will you just become jobless in the future? Now, Jeff, you had addressed that somewhat, but any other panel, I think this is a fair question.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of discussions, about visual effects artists, about pivoting, specifically, whether they're, going to get out of it to transition into something else. I mean, the working in film is all I've ever done. It kind of goes, it branches off into different things. There's more things than to making, avatars and Titanics. There's commercials, there's training, there's all kinds of, I think really one of the big things that'll benefit is the actual training films and things like that, where you don't have to like write it all, where you can put the manual in and then say, okay, break down these specific things into something concise, where it's just not you and a couple people editing it, where it actually uses, I mean, I was talking about this at dinner last night. The everything in the world in entertainment is a template. A TV show starts with a show open, then it goes to with a tease, then a show open, then a bumper, then 202 Black for the commercials, comes out with a bumper, and then goes back into it. Songwriting, music is the same thing. You have your lyrics, your chorus, your hook. It's all a template, and that's what AI is using. It's just like, okay, what has been done like this before, and how can I either have it adhere to the rules or skip the rules, or that. But human interaction is a crucial part of it. You as a creator need to wrangle it in, you need to regulate it, and be mindful of what you're doing and things. And it kind of just goes back to the the whole thing, do the right thing. Or if you're like a software admin, your credo is always do no harm. Even though you can delete everybody's files, you make a credo to do no harm. But yeah, it's an interesting time. I've been through a lot of different transitions with digital cinema, film going away, and all that stuff.
And going from practicals, to CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we say practicals, we mean that they used rubber hoses and gauze and and clay and paste and stuff to make things look like it was what it was meant to be. Now they can just animate it or CGI it.
Hey, I'm getting a text for my next commitment. Where are you? So
let me before Jeff goes, let me say this. I do 2 shows here, Create Your Best Life with Rex and Rex Sikes Movie Beat. We did a recent Rex Sikes Movie Beat on-camera discussion with Jeff Olm. You can go and find that at Rex Sikes Movie Beat. You're right there on rexsikestv.com. And also on the Spotify, there's Rex Sikes Movie Beat, the audio that we've done with Jeff before, and as well as like 600 hours of professional filmmakers, marketers, agents, actors, telling you how to have a career and be successful in business, especially in the film business. So you have those 2 things right here at rexsikestv.com, the Spotify discussions and the Rex Sikes Movie Beat discussions, as well as I've had Jeffrey Ross and Sandra Horton on Create Your Best Life with Rex, and Danny's been on there too because he's been co-hosting with me on some of the shows, and we've done some shows together. So Jeff, have a great time. If you give your closing comments, if you can make one, but thank you so much for being here and making time when you're at the festival trying to give a presentation there. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, and just be open to transitioning and learning new things. That's the whole thing. The AI has left. The train has left the building. So yeah. All right. Have a good day, everybody.
You too, sir. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. You bet. Bye.
Bye.
So good.
Rex, I just want to jump into that. That was an awesome segment with Jeff. One of the things that really comes up for me, though, is it comes back to us, doesn't it? It comes back to how do we think? Because really, AI is a prosthesis. It's a way to amplify what we reason, how we think, what we're doing. So if we as a human, perhaps we have some flawed thinking, some bias, some ways that maybe aren't, as Rex always says, magnificent, we need to take inventory. We need to stop and then observe ourselves so that whatever we're creating is human-centered.
I love that because, you can use a hammer to build a house or hit somebody on the head. Mm-hmm. And sadly, too many people hit people on the head with it. Now, all of us here, are heart-centered. We're thoughtful. We live from integrity, with the purpose of helping other people, add value to them, and know that when the tide rises, it lifts the whole boat and everyone in it. So it's about cooperation and collaboration. That's why we're doing this. We're collaborating, we're cooperating. And on top of that, the interesting thing is Jeff and I actually have a project which is very much attuned to this piece. It was brought to me by this wonderful gentleman, and I immediately called up Jeff and said, hey, I've got to have you involved in this. And so we're producing this, which most likely now will be a Netflix series. And or it's going to be a feature, but we're still dealing with it. But in this day and age, especially in what's going on in the United States and around the world, is to find kindness, compassion, empathy, care, concern, and to have the mindset of somebody who wants to be helpful, not hurtful, and because ultimately we're responsible. Now, the thing that's scary is that not everybody's being held accountable.
That's the thing,
and that is where we'll see what happens in the future. If the people who misuse anything or break laws or violate, ethics and that kind of stuff, whether they're ever held accountable and held responsible for their actions, because they should. As Jeff said, the Hippocratic goes is first do no harm. And I like to add, always seek to do kindness, to help. And I know you do too.
Well, as we're all saying here, right, it is just a tool. And a tool can be used for good or good for evil. I don't think Oppenheimer and Einstein really wanted the nuclear bomb to be a bomb. It was the technology around nuclear power was to be able to enhance humanity, not destroy it. And I do feel that AI is just as powerful as weapon. It can be that space if it's used in the wrong hands. Like we've heard of some horrific stories where young kids, for example, have got hooked in and brainwashed and whatever. And, there's been teen suicides increased because of AI. And so I do think that word accountability, Rex, is a powerful one that we need to, as pioneers of this space, continuing having this discussion from a space to, protect humanity in a way that, does regulate it a little bit, because it is a very powerful weapon and if used in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Well, and I just want to say also, and I'm going to interject this and then let the conversation continue. If you're watching this now live or even in replay, go ahead and share it, like it, leave a comment, do something. If you're enjoying this and you're getting value from the discussion, know that we've got a webinar coming up that's going to add extra value to you and your business. But also, right now, reach out to somebody by phone or email or on social media and say, hey, come join us and learn something new about what you can do now and in your future to make your life and the lives of people around you that much better.
Yeah.
And, and Rex and Jeff, I want to jump in because I think there's an interesting, a curiosity and an opportunity for everyone in this moment. Because how do you look at your relationship with AI? Just going to put that out there. Do you see it as collaborative, as something that you want to co-create with, or are you looking at it as transactional? Because how you look at it, even right now, like if you want to comment on the chat, please put it in there, will truly make a difference in what you're able to use AI for. As an example, like I'm building my 6-week program. It's a hybrid program. Thanks everyone for, please put this on there. This is important because if I had a resistance, an inner, I don't like AI, it's going to replace me. I don't, what do you think I'm going to get on the other end? What do you imagine it to be?
Well,
it's not going to be positive. So go ahead, Rex. Yeah.
Well, and this is a great mindset thing because, what is it that you're creating? If you worry about things, you're practicing, you're rehearsing your fears and your anxieties. You're actually putting a lot of energy and focus on those things coming to pass when they may or may not. As people would say, most of what we worry about never happens. And we worry about the worst case scenarios. We worry about the minor things. We spend our life in fear. So if we're afraid of AI, that's not a really useful place to be. I think we should be alert, aware, awake, and conscious of the upsides and downsides so that we steer the way we use it. But the mindset is, I can do this ethically, I can control this, I can use it in a positive and good fashion to the benefit of all. And I was going to ask Jeff that, but I'll have to ask Danny and you guys this, because there are people who go, well, I don't know what to do, or I'm scared, or I'm fear. I might say the same thing. I go, Danny, what do I do? Because I might make a mistake. And he goes, you can't break it, man. You can't break it. Just go ahead and do it. I go, no, I can't do that. I don't know what I mean, in other words, there is a mindset piece to this where people go, they're afraid of new technology. And in some cases, the new technology is so simple that the fear is just really unrealistic. But that's their habit. That's where they live from. Go ahead, Danny.
Sometimes it breaks. Sometimes it breaks.
Well, true.
Hopefully this is working and this is not broken. I do want to come back to the point of, we had it in the chat, that AI is going to take all the jobs, but historically there's always been someone or something coming to take all the jobs.
Correct.
Right? And time alone will take your job if you let it.
Did you know that back in the early 1900s, there used to be a person who had this job, and their job was to go around knocking on windows to wake people up? But the alarm clock took that job.
You got knocked up in the morning.
Right.
Yeah. However, so this is the interesting piece. If we are self-aware, and this is the key thing for all of AI, is again, I go back to this whole place. It starts with you, starts with I, we, us, individually. To go back to that question I asked earlier, I'm going to repeat that again because it's powerful. How do you look at things? One, Rex always teaches this. How you look at one thing is how you look at so many other things. So ask yourself, are you open? Do you have an open mindset? Are you open to new information and possibilities? And if yes, and this is awesome, because AI can assist you in the easiest of ways. So I want to go to, how do you start? Because I think this is a key piece. So someone like myself who was starting with AI, the easiest way is go, even get a recipe. I know it sounds simple. If you're worried about it at work, go and build a recipe with AI, ChatGPT, learn about it, understand it, go and experiment, fall forward. You'll learn from it. And I know Danny will do a great job with all the prompts, because it is as good as you prompted is the good results you're going to get. So you need to learn how to prompt effectively to get that great response. So just begin and, try it.
Can
I
I?
would also
Can I just add this? You know, have you ever been to Google and you go, I don't want to know anything about cantaloupes? What do you get?
Yeah, cantaloupes.
Everything about cantaloupes, right? So
Correct.
how you put in information matters in terms of what you get back. I was at dinner last night with somebody. He got on his phone and did this. He said, I don't want to know that. Said it again. No, I don't want to know that either. I said it again. I mean, he had to go through 4 or 5 different iterations of what he was trying to get in order to get the search engine to respond the way he wanted. And this is what Danny's going to talk about how, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, but how important it is to be able to prompt properly in order to get the effect that you want from AI, especially in AI videos or anything you do with AI. But we're talking about video and things.
You know what? I agree and disagree with that to a point. I think the more important part of the conversation here is prompting is definitely part of it, yes. But it's the data in, the data out. It's
Correct.
good stuff in, great stuff out. You put shit in, you're going to get shit out. So it's about the data, the input that we put in, right, Danny?
Yeah, 100%. It's the same with anything, though, right? If you wake up in the morning and think, hey, AI is going to take my job, and I'm not going to bother to go to work, you put a bad mindset in to start with, so you're going to get the negativity is going to come out, right? So with us being uplifting people who got positive mindsets, we want to help people move further forward faster. Look, you're not going to break it. Perhaps be polite to it, but why don't you try and sort of stretch the boundaries of what you think is possible? There's an old phrase that, you know, if the answers frighten you, you should stop asking scary questions, right? But if you get really good stuff back, ask a little bit further, push a little bit further, just question and rationalize with your AI buddy.
Well, you know, the story of Job was that which I feared I brought upon myself. You know, that's what's fallen me. So the key is to intend to use it in a particular way and not fear it or be afraid of it or that kind of thing. When you say garbage in and garbage out, this is absolutely true. But there's also good in and good out, and that's the piece that people forget. You know, because
that's the point I'm highlighting here, right? Is it's just as powerful as this brain up here, and in that space. So Danny, I wanted to go to you just quickly for a second, because I think this is a really powerful thing to highlight as well. AI is biased. You know, so AI is there to essentially give you what you ask for it. I saw a YouTube clip there the other day. People are talking about AI is the Antichrist. So let me prove it to you. And it's like, hang on, what? Like, you know, so they went through and I watched the video. They studied the prompt, and essentially they manipulated AI to prove that it was the Antichrist. This is what I'm talking about, data in, data out.
Yeah. And you can have foolishness in and foolishness out, and stupidity in and stupidity out as well. I think that works all ways. But what you will find is AI will deliberately save its own processing power.
That's what I mean.
Right? So it's not going to give you the best first time round or 10th time round until you wrestle with it a little bit, no matter whether that's a graphic, a video, or ChatGPT or whatever it is. So if you go in there and you write one sentence, the quality of the output is not as good as if you write something detailed. And it's almost like, has anybody ever argued with AI, with ChatGPT, when it's just like hallucinating, doing ridiculous things? But I made the point the other day, because sometimes you kind of learn how you can talk to this thing. Are you deliberately trying to save your own tokens? And it kind of got upset a little bit. A token's like what it uses, like AI currency, right? So every time you prompt, you burn tokens. And I'm like, are you trying to save your own tokens? And it's like, you're totally correct. I was like, yeah, figured that one out. Now can you give me something that's actually going to be useful for this project? Because you could have done it yourself. So don't get caught up in the AI does everything. And you see these posts all the time. You know, I prompted 7 ChatGPT prompts that made me $1 million with the fingers pointing down. You know, that's all designed to get people to come and click, look in the comments, and you're going to boost your engagement, right, on Facebook.
Danny, I wanted to jump in there though, because I think there's an important piece here that one of the things that I have found very helpful and successful is if you prompt it and ask it as if you're a particular subject matter expert, like you are framing it within that context to get a better deliverable outcome. It's a huge game changer if people understand that and remove that confirmation bias, because that's what we come in. We are coming in with that bias. So I go back to the original question. It's about how do you look at things? Are you open to challenge even your own way of thinking? Because this is an amplifier of who we are in this moment. And thanks, Dave. I appreciate all your comments as well in here, because it's like we are showing up is what we're getting from this, ChatGPT as an example.
I'm not sure if you guys actually are aware. I'm actually a pastor, an online church. So
nice.
I use my wife and I started an online church 18 months ago. And I use AI to support, not create, definitely support, our sermons and our messages for, our calls, right? So this is where I'm very big on making sure we keep the human in the loop, because, AI can be wrong. And so it's got to have that wisdom piece and that discernment piece to come in and say, we need to correct this. And when you go and correct it, it's go, oh yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, that's that inner intuition, Jeff, right? Like that's that inner heart signals that inside your gut brain is saying, hey, this doesn't resonate for me. This isn't right. Like how many of you have had that? Well, everyone has.
Yep.
By the way, I like to interrupt and just say again to the audience, if you're watching this and you're getting value, go ahead and share it, like it, comment. And if you would, because the difficulty that we have is we're streaming to a number of different places and they're not always consolidated, so we don't see everything in the chat. But for those who are watching right now, if you're getting some value, just type a 1 in the chat so we know, that you like what's going on. If you have a question or comment that you need, and thank you, and great. But thank you. And if you have a question or comment, please feel free to ask it, and we'll try and get those up on the screen and answer them when they appear. Sometimes we don't get around that. So thank you, Jeffrey Ross. I see that a lot. That's very
I also want to jump in here and thank the crazy Aussies for getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to tune in.
And thanks, Jeff.
It's a total hero. What you don't know is Jeff's in Tasmania. It's like now it's probably like what 4:35, 5 a.m. or something, like getting close to 5 a.m.
4:52. Yeah.
4:52. So he got up like at 3 o'clock so he could be with us. Danny's in London, so it's late his time. Sandra's in Vancouver, so it's earlier for her.
Canada.
And for me, it's in the middle of the day. And thank you, Jaya, for that. So yeah, if you're getting value, please go ahead and let us know. If you have questions or comments, do. And what you see screaming right now is what coming up after our discussion with Rex and friends, because they are friends, is thank you, Dave, is this workshop. It's free, but you need to enroll. And you can enroll right now if you use the prompt right there. It's rex.videopromptbuilder.com. And Danny and I'll be there, but Danny will be helming that workshop, and we'll do it immediately when we conclude here. We're not concluding for a while, so stay tuned and keep enjoying the conversation. And please keep sharing this out. Thank you.
Rex, I got a question for you. Sorry, Danny, I got to jump in there because this kind of goes to the last question. The assertive female in the group of the men. One of the most important things with AI mindset is cognitive humility, because AI is pompous. AI is self-fulfilling prophecy. It is, it's confirmation bias, all these things. So with your beautiful expertise, how can you help a leader? Someone who's coming into this, who wants to take their brand to the next level, wants to use AI, is going to take Danny's course, going to get these prompts. How can they best show up with a cognitive humility, but a strength at the same time to really use this tool well? Over to Rex.
Oh, you were asking me that question.
I'm asking you that, Rex, because you're the master.
And say the question one more time. I mean,
the question is, how can someone who's a leader really, truly embrace cognitive humility in taking on AI to have good outcomes? That's the bottom line.
Well, as Caleb said, Joshua Caleb said, like money, AI is going to be an amplifier. It's a tool, and how you use it is going to be up to you. You're the heart-centered leader, so maybe you're better qualified to answer the question. But I think what it really requires is for people to be aware and secure in who they are. Because if you're not confident in yourself, and by that I mean, if you're not confident, you're going to try and beat other people into submission, or you're going to try and lord power over them, or you're going to try to take something away from them because you're insecure. The biggest way that insecurity manifests is trying to manipulate other people. If you're completely at peace with yourself and comfortable in your own skin and at peace with the world and secure and confident in what you're doing, then you don't have to do any of that. And you don't have to try and take things from others. You don't have to push things on other people. You can invite them. You can, again, about collaborate and cooperate. I think that the thing that's needed and why you and I and Danny and Jeff and all are in the world as well as other people is to help people drop the masks that they live by, the habitual conditioning that they've grown up with that has been. I just saw something earlier today that said, I think it was Denmark, and I might have the country wrong, but it said Denmark was doing kind of an empathy training. Of course, that's a bad word in the United States today, but
Really?
Not here.
Sadly, no, not here, but but I mean, because it's woke. But the point is
Yeah.
they were training people, they were training children in empathy and in kindness, and they said
Yeah.
studies have demonstrated that it's reduced the number of bullying incidents, cyber and live, and increased the number of acts of kindness that children are doing with each other. So they're growing up in a healthier mindset, heart set space, and they're freer to be themselves, and they understand the value of helping each other. And I think this is so desperately needed. This is a project Jeff Olm and I are actually working on. So I'm happy to rope you all in, but when the time is right. But the point is that it's self-work. It's letting go of the habits, the habitual habits that is the greed, the need for power, the need to whatever, all the stuff I said before, and to just relax into yourself. And the only way that you get to do that, I meditate, relax, find gratitude, get in love with life and the people around you. Understand that this notion of it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yes,
Whether that's true or not, I mean, it may just be bullshit. But the point is, if you adopt that attitude, then you've adopted something powerful that directs the way you behave. Because I teach acting, and one of the things that I teach in acting is thought always compels the behavior. You don't do anything without a thought. I mean, you have knee-jerk reactions and stuff like that. But the point is, if you go, I want a glass of water, you go get the water, or you don't, or you expect someone to bring it to you. But it's the thought that I thirst or whatever. So you want to learn how to manage your thinking, and you want to be able to steer your thinking in ways that allow you to be the best version of yourself possible, to engage in the best practices possible. Because some people think they're good, and then they act like jerks, kind of like Scrooge.
Yeah.
But remember, Scrooge had a transformation over Christmas night. He saw the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas, and went, I don't want that. And then woke up the next morning going, Merry Christmas, everybody. And
That's true.
that is what's possible. You can
Yeah.
have that transformation, but you need to do something to get that transformation. He had to go through the nightmares in order to do it. We have to go through our hardship. Sometimes that means, grading against other people or whatever, to learn that we don't have to grade against people.
Yeah.
It's about surrender, really. It's surrender and allow and to learn how to flow. Yes.
I want to jump in there because it's a beautiful conversation. And I love that what you're identifying there, Rex, and Sandra, beautiful question. To come back to the self-work, to the self-worth, to the self-identification. A lot of our challenges in life are never really external. They're always internal, right? That's where the blocks are. Now, I've actually been doing some deep work in this space myself with Dr. Joseph McClendon. And what I've actually done is I've leveraged AI to support this conversation and go even deeper. So we've created this little custom GPT. Actually, Dave Miller, who's on the chat there, he's my AI guy, my business partner. So we've actually created this little custom GPT to, act like, Dr. Joseph McClendon is in the room and go through and ask a questionnaire. So, to identify like your 10 toxic traits that he talks about all the time, and then give you a playbook to help you to snap out of that, to be the thermostat, not the thermometer in the room. And that there, we've been hosting some really awesome inner circle conversations, and straight away that's just bringing an awareness to that self-leadership conversation there. that people are starting to now be empowered and equipped, a little bit like AI, right? We've got a responsibility there to educate people how to leverage it in this light to be able to unlock their genius zone, unlock their gifting, unlock their, and then come back to that space of essentially this whole conversation for me is leadership. As John Maxwell talks about, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so it's bringing it into that position where it's just powerful in that space.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rex.
I was just going to say, I have historically for decades said leaders don't call themselves leaders. Other people call them leaders based on the quality of their lives and their actions. But somebody has to say, I'm a leader. And I hate that when our politicians go, I'm a political leader, or I'm the they're representatives. They're not leaders. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't act like representatives because they don't represent. They try and act like leaders because they want to tell you what to do. But a true leader isn't somebody who tells you what to do and is afraid to do what he's telling you or she is telling you to do. They're willing to do whatever is necessary in order to bring about the greatest benefit if they're a benevolent, kind, and good leader. And then they don't have to call themselves a leader because people will follow them because they're an example of what it is that they're attempting to get done. Not just a talker saying, here's what you do, here's what you do, here's what you do, here's what you do, and ordering people around. So
100%.
And like for me, this always is like my happy place. This is where I get juiced up. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yes.
Sandy's in her happy place. So
take it away, Sandy.
Yeah, no, you know what? The beautifulness of this moment, and I want to honor all the beautiful people who have been listening to this and those who will listen to it again. As Rex always teaches, what is the one thing that you're hearing today that you can take away and apply? Like, just take this moment, breathe it in, and then what is it you're going to do differently? It's in the action, isn't it? And I want to expand this conversation for just a moment. As a certified change practitioner, one of the things that I'm seeing now across different industries is people are hitting up a bit of a wall, whether it's in AI or in their own life, of being change weary. Because there's all of these things that are coming at people, and I'm using that word purposefully, because how you see the opportunity and possibility is how you're going to react or respond to it. And I want to add this, maybe shift a little bit around leadership, because, yes, self-discovery is what I call is the first pillar. Then you move into change readiness. What am I able to then go and do, embrace, adapt, as Jeffrey talked earlier as well? What can I bring in to then change and shift so that I can go into new action? How can I bring in this AI into my world? What are some tactical things you can do today? And that is, do I want to go explore ChatGPT? Do I want to explore my mindset towards AI? Am I all or nothing? Or am I willing to be open and try and learn something? Or is it that I'm being asked to do too much right now and I'm just feeling really overwhelmed and I'm going to, not cope well, and I'm going to go back to my old habits? Or am I going to stop it, pattern interrupt it, change through my state, as Rex always has taught all of us in NLP world, and go find a new resource and move forward? Because change readiness in this world right now, people are not ready to change anymore because they're hit that change stacking right now. And so we need to help support them to look at how can we adapt and modify and move forward so we can have different outcomes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes beautiful sense. And the way that I'm seeing that facilitated is by creating connected communities that people feel seen, heard, valued, known, and ultimately loved, and creating these safe spaces. So I reckon we need more safe spaces, more safe communities out there for people to embrace that change narrative, that messy space of it all. Because learning is messy. It is chaos when you're learning in that space. And so we people are afraid to try and even get into that now because the world has separated them and they're doing life on their own. Sorry, Rex, may I go?
No, I like that. I was going to say, using an example from the Bible, you go to the Garden of Eden, created to be in the Garden of Eden, enjoy all of the Garden of Eden, and it was given a choice, though. And I think it's great whether it's historical or not. Some people will say it's historical. Some people, I'm just pointing out that some people say it's historical. Some people say, well, but it's also a great allegory for what goes on. And that is, we were given this abundant thing. We were given essentially dominion over it, meaning that as the highest, on the food chain kind of thing, We were stewards of it. It didn't mean we corrupted or we polluted or we, greedy hoarded or any of that stuff. It meant we take care of it. This is our garden. And they were given a choice: tree of life or good knowledge of good and evil. And they chose good and evil. In other words, they chose information, thinking information would change them instead of choosing life, choosing abundance and life and prosperity and
yeah.
And so, but this is the thing that we face every single day. We're on this planet. It's a gas encased bubble. We live in a terrarium. If you have a tabletop terrarium and you blow smoke into it or put pesticides in it, you're going to kill your terrarium. And so what we're doing in this world is damaging the world. And we need to understand that we are the caretakers, but we're not just the caretakers. Here's what I would argue: whether it's an insect, a reptile, an amphibian, a mammal, a fish, a fowl, or a human, there's just one organism on the planet, and that's life. And all of life, whether in water or out of water, respires. The trees respirate, the flowers respirate, bees respirate, we all respirate. So there's this tick of in and out of energy, but we're just one life form. But because humans' consciousness are great at classifying and categorizing, we think that there are some people like us and they belong in this category, and there are other people not like us and they belong in another category. And then we get, I want everything. In other words, but the talent of categorizing and classifying is a useful talent, but it's oftentimes used for wrong reasons, to subjugate, to harm, to hold back other people. And what we need to do is wake up to the fact that there's life here. We are life, and as long as you're upright on the planet, our obligation is to treat everything and everyone well, and to make everyone we meet better off than when we first met them. And that's not what's happening, because people are scared. They're encountering these circumstances, as Sandra was describing. We have fear of change. We don't like getting out of our comfort zone. And yet the only way we've ever innovated most anything in the world is to be uncomfortable.
I like how Mark Cuban talks about this a bit in Spaces. So Mark Cuban says that, humans are designed to create, right? And when we're not creating and we're just consuming, that's where we get depressed. And I love that sort of thing, essentially in a statement that's wrapping up what you're talking about there. And creation is love, it is joy, it is abundance, it is all that light and joy of the world. Whereas consumerism is just about the opposite, isn't it? So I do like the parallels there.
Well, I'm going to make a statement that some people will like and some people won't. Let's say you have $100 billion. Well, it would be nice, wouldn't it, if you had $100 billion?
Receiving it.
I take
impact on the world.
Right, but then I take 90 billion of it.
Yeah.
I tax it, or I take it, or I steal it, or it burns up. You still have $10 billion. Even if I take 99 billion, you still have $1 billion. There's enough for everybody. It's the fact that people hoard, and they try to prevent other people from having what they have because they're afraid. Think about it this way. The greediest, most powerful people who hold you back are the most scared, insecure, non-confident losers. They've succeeded in what they've done, but they're a loser in life because they're so afraid that they're going to lose out. They have to keep you from succeeding or from living. And what we want to do is help people live better, and to use the talents that we have and the technology we have, like AI or whatever, the personal technology of meditation and mindset shifting and changing and building communities to just make the world a better place.
Yeah. And Rex, I want to jump in here and boy, I'm enjoying this. Thanks for having me here today as well. One thing that really makes my heart happy is the inquiry about connection. And so I'm all about the question: how do you define connection? If you walked away today, would you feel connected? Like, thank you, Joshua. Thank you, David and Cecilia and others that are here today. How are you connecting with the information that we're sharing? Are you connecting with us from your heart, or are you just intellectually? I think the word connection is the greatest opportunity, the hugest curiosity to kind of go inside and say, am I connected to myself? Like inside, am I connected to others? Like, how am I looking at connection? I think is something that maybe we can all dive into in this panel. Because again, it's like, what is the outcome of this today's conversation? It's building connection.
And that's what I'm all about too, Sandra. Is
Yeah.
it's how do we have heart-to-heart connections, and AI for me has supported that. It's amplified that. G'day, Bruno and Stacey. It's unlocked that that space, right? Because for those who don't know my story, I did try to kill myself 12 years ago, and I got to a very dark place and a very hopeless place in my life where I was very lost and very hurting. And in that space, I say love interrupted the pattern. You know, when I was about to do what I was about to do, my 2-year-old son at the time walked in with big, beautiful brown eyes and said, "Dad, what are you doing?" And I fell to my knees just before I was about to, and love interrupted the pattern. So when you talk about connection, that's a very powerful word, because I was disconnected with myself. And so I say to people now, like I was an atheist at the time, and now I'm a pastor. So, you know, in this space, it was learning to connect to myself first, you know, go into that self-love, that self-worth, that self-strength and weaknesses, and embracing that self. And then I had to learn how to love something bigger than myself. So it wasn't just all about ego and arrogance. It was about that service of space, that stewardship. You used that word before, Rex. And then in that space, learning how to really, truly, you know, love myself, love God, and love neighbors. You know,
I love that.
And so that's all I teach, and that's all I've ever done, and that's what's worked for me in that space. Like I say to people, yes, I'm a pastor, but I'm the most anti-religious person you ever meet in your life. So it's about that relationship and that connection, that heart to heart, and then you bring in AI on top of that, and what we've talked about before, AI is an amplifier, you know, and so is money. And so I use it in a way now to be able to have more powerful heart-to-heart connections through our marketing, through our conversations, through our coaching, through everything that we do in life. Now, I also want to add to this. I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out of school at year 9. I haven't got a degree to my name, and I'm dyslexic, and I've got ADHD and all of those things that used to be limiting for thoughts, but I've now turned those weaknesses into strengths. Because, hey, if I can really learn how to embrace AI this powerful way, anybody can.
Yes.
And that's a connection. It's that word connection is what is the thing that really jumps up for me in that space.
Yeah, thank you for that sharing. Sorry, Rex. I just want to honor what Jeff and holding space. Like, this is a psychologically safe space where you can be open. So how can you bring that? Because everyone has their own beautiful stories that have taught them, have given them the opportunity to learn and grow, because that's your journey. And then how do you share that? You've grown through that. And one of the things that I want to go back to Rex is, one of the things that Rex has always been is consistent and always serving humanity. So get out of your own way. If you're having a bad day, go and serve someone else. Like, legitimately, get out of your own way, go and serve, be of service, because there's two different things there, and connect. That's the way to shift your state. That's the way to say, hey, I want this. I have the ability now easily to be able to connect, and there's more that's divinely called for me. You know, Rex, over to you.
Sandra, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And you're wrong.
Why am I wrong? That's okay. I'll learn from it.
Just notice, because we're talking about connection. I mean, think about that for a second. I said thank you, and I appreciate you, and we're connected, and then I go, you're wrong. So not just for you, but for all of us, what happened there? This is the issue with people. Yeah, exactly. It breaks.
No, I took it in and I went, okay, wait, it's a learning.
No, but Cecilia made the point, and I had this conversation this very morning at breakfast coffee. Of saying, people talk at each other and they tell their points of view, and there are people who have different political, different religion, different opinions. And and yesterday I was in a conversation on accurate thinking with the Napoleon Hill group, and the thing is that people talk at each other, and there's a meme that runs around and the quotes and everything that people don't talk to understand, but they talk to inform or to tell. The best way to understand somebody is to go, really? Why do you think that? And to be genuine and sincere and to go, tell me more.
Ask questions.
How did you come to that decision? Yes. Oh, thank you. That's cool. Well, why do you do it that way? Really? Tell me so I can do it. But people ask questions like, well, where the heck did you get up with that idea? Come on, how could you be so stupid? Why would you ever think something like that? While it's been attributed to many other people, the quality of your life is really directed by the quality of your questions. And I've done directed questions for 50 years. I didn't do Socratic method. I mean, that's always been around. But the point is, if you understand, a knife will cut like butter in half. It separates the sides of the butter. A question does kind of the same thing. By asking the right kind of question, you either get good quality information or bad quality information. You either get a connection that you make, or you get a disconnection that you've made because of the way you ask, or because of the way you react, or the way you respond back to people. So the key is do you want to invite more friends? Do you want to become more connected? Do you want to have greater community? Do you want to uplift and inspire and help people live magnificent and wonderful lives? Or would you rather do otherwise? And if you'd rather do otherwise, then we have to talk. But if
can I jump in there? Asking powerful questions is a brilliant thing. And then I love that you've highlighted that, Rex. And once again, we can use AI here in this space to really support this conversation. I find when you're able to ask really powerful questions is because you've got an intimate relationship with the other person. When you know the other person, like that intimacy, right? That intimacy. When you've got a strong relationship with other people, you know what's going on in their lives. It positions you in proximity to that to be able to ask more deeper, powerful questions, to go deeper. And so when I say AI can support this conversation, when we're all doing our marketing and our customer avatar profiles and, niching down and, all of those marketing terms, when we can really know our people that we're serving intimately, it puts us in a position to ask better, powerful questions, those type of questions that are keeping people awake at 3 a.m. in the morning. And then we can go serve to that. We can go and help with that.
Well, there's a beautiful thing about court, being in like a criminal trial or civil trial, is that they technically, and they violate it all the time, is they're not allowed to make statements or use leading questions. The idea is to ask a question to get the quality of information you need in order to build your case, either for or against what's going on. But it's about questioning. It's not about telling people this or doing that. And so many people forget that the power of a good question can either open your mind up or close your mind down. It can connect you with anybody in the world, or it can sever you from anyone in the world, and including yourself. If you go, why am I so stupid? That's a dumb question to ask yourself, but people ask that all the time. You can say, why am I so brilliant? Or in how many different ways could I discover how unique and wonderful and loving and kind I can be? Or how many different ways can I be loving and kind to my neighbors and friends? Or I have this stranger that I really don't like. How could I find myself being willing to listen? How soon will I find myself opening up to that as a possibility? You need to direct your own attention, your conscious mind, so that you get the unconscious, subconscious responses. Because if you just go, oh, God, I got this thing, it's terrible, I'm never gonna, you're living from these forlorn habits.
It's a question.
I've got a really consciousness, but we're talking about directing ChatGPT to and doing prompts. Again, it's the quality of what you do. So go ahead, speak. I don't want to.
Yeah, and it's quality of the questions that you ask ChatGPT. I like to have two-way conversations with it. But the question I've got for you, Rex, is I'm reminded of, you're talking about they're talking at people, not with people and to people and all that, and asking really powerful questions to be able to support that conversation. So my question for you is, how do we go from just fighting with people in conversations to actually standing to effectively arguing with people, right? The different definition here is what I was taught from our marriage counselor when we got married was the goal of a fight is to win. There has to be a boxer, right? And there has to be knocked out. So there are a lot of people who know how to fight really well in today's world, and especially online and all that space. Now, the goal of an argument, where we're talking here in context, is the goal of an argument is to seek to understand the other person's point of view. So my question for you, Rex, is how can we be more effective communicators so we can do less fighting and actually more effective arguing?
Well, it's a beautiful question which you answered already. and that's the beauty of it. Here's the thing about questions. A lot of people ask questions to get an answer, and you don't want to ask questions to get an answer. You want to ask questions to get a behavior, a result. Yes, this is what directed questions is all about. And for 50 years I've been teaching. You can get an answer, and that's great, but that's information. That's like the tree of knowledge of good and evil as opposed to life. If your intention is to understand and to improve the quality of the relationship, then you're going to behave in certain ways that you wouldn't behave if you're intention is to destroy the relationship and get rid of the person or whatever. So you first have to determine what is it that I want, and then what am I willing to do? If I want to improve the relationship, how willing am I to do what is ever legally necessary? And I hate to have to put that word in there, but you know what I'm saying? In other words, how willing am I to be flexible enough to attempt to communicate with this person the way they'd like to be treated and the way they'd like to be communicated with? The golden rule was do unto others the way others would, have
Right.
you.
Yeah.
The platinum rule is do unto others the way they want to be done too. So it's about respecting where the other person is coming from, trying to step into their space, but not step into it as an aggressor, but to be invited in so that you can understand each other at a deeper level. And that does require each of us to put our own agendas sometimes on hands and say, at least temporarily, I'm going to experiment. And curiosity is the best way. Look at a child. They go, why this, why that, why that, why this, why that? And they're captured by butterflies and by bees, and they run around with sticks, and they have an imagination. We need to be able to do that same kind of thing, to say genuinely, that's wow. That's amazing. How did you arrive at that? That's cool. Tell me. Not because I don't think it's valuable, but because I want to know how to do it, or I want to be part of it. I think it's brilliant. And it's getting out of the ego of I have to be right. I'm gonna make a political statement again. When the press asks somebody, "What do you think about that?" and you go, "That's a stupid question. You're a shitty reporter." That's not the way to treat anybody. And do you want your children to say that to you? You say, "Why didn't you eat your piece?" Well, that's a stupid question, and you're a shitty mom or dad. Don't ask
Rex,
like that ever again.
Yeah. So Rex, can I redirect just for a quick moment, because I think there's a great question in the chat. Just a little bit of a pivot, allowing us just to shift a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the interesting piece for me, what I'm hearing from both of you, is there's obviously an openness to receive and to build that rapport. So matching, mirroring, coming into understanding. But importantly, we haven't talked about this, which is the understanding of our emotions or emotional intelligence. And as a practitioner, this, I think, especially now, in order to develop human-centered AI, the critical piece is empathy. It's understanding our emotions, being able to balance, to be able to really understand all of the components of emotional intelligence. And so I'm just going to open it up, because we haven't talked so much about feelings and balancing. And, as an example, if you come into let's say an argument, like you were saying, Jeff, and you're overly assertive, and maybe this shows up in your work world too, what kind of impact are you going to have in those relationships at home and at work? What do you think the receiver of this is going to happen?
It's going to be very dominating and very, very, well, essentially the extreme of it all. It can be very abusive, right?
Right.
So I love that you bring this up, because this is definitely a layer of context where AI can help, but not necessarily ever replace.
Correct.
And I believe that, we talk about EQ, right? Emotional intelligence. I think that's where, as leaders, we all first off need to know our own EQ, our own emotional intelligence. Like, I've been a student in just about every personality profile testing you can think of, with, Myers-Briggs to DISC to Enneagram, and, what's the other one? Strengths Finder from Gallup, and all of those sort of things. And so that's identifying your strengths and weaknesses conversation. And that's where it started for me. This whole leadership journey was that self-identification, that self-awareness, that around the emotional intelligence space. So now when I can jump into conversations, and whether it be, putting the pastor hat on for a second, or putting the marketing coach hat on for a second, by learning how to ask powerful questions, as Rex was identifying, we can, you can learn how to, mirror people and make people feel, well, it's not that, it's about, makes the wrong word. It's about making people feel valued. For me, it's always coming into that space of creating a space where people feel valued, seen, heard, known, and loved. So then that's that two-way street going both ways. Yeah. And I've learned, to be vulnerable, not to use it as a skill to manipulate people or anything like that, but it's a tool to help other people be vulnerable and get into that space to be able to share the the stuff that that really they're keeping to themselves. What's that statement? We're only as sick as our secrets. So creating an open environment where it's a safe place. Not you can't do this just everywhere. You need to do it in a safe space. But to create a space where it is safe, where people can be open, raw, real, vulnerable, to go through that transformational healing and growth and everything else on the other side of that.
And it really does start. And I want to say, hey, Lynn, lovely to see you today. Lynn's one of our good friends. Kind of going back to that essence of today. What is the purpose of today? What is it that you're going to take away and apply in your life? What is really resonating for you in this moment? And for me, it's, again, asking, clarifying some of these basic, essential, great conscious leadership questions, isn't it? If we know ourselves, if we understand ourselves, we're very clear with our purpose, with who we are, the essentials of that whole self-discovery. If we become even more emotionally intelligent, we're able to navigate, go through the change, embrace with a growth mindset. AI, how can I look at this? How can I use this as an amplifier in my thinking of ways of being to save time? And then to what kind of impact, what positive ways can I make a difference in this world? That's the journey of the transformation. You get out of the head, you connect the heart to the mind to a higher calling and consciousness.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is the beauty of
this is where we actually go from competition to collaboration.
Yeah, 100%.
All four of us here, we're all in our own respective rights and doing everything, but this is a collaborative project, right?
Yeah.
And there's no competition whatsoever in this conversation. And it's just, how can we serve humanity in the bigger, wider space and have a bigger impact?
Yeah.
Well, I think that also I'll go around the topic this way, but the conversation that you're having and the points that both of you are making are wonderful. They're elegant and they're important. And again, I want to tell everybody, if you're getting value, please let us know, but also share this with other people. There be a replay and stuff like that. And we've got a workshop coming up in a little while, a webinar that Danny's going to helm. The prompt is right there. You can go and enroll right now, and do so, because it's going to be powerful. You're going to want to do this. So if you haven't already signed up, be there. But the thing is this, when people look out at the world and they see there's a house and there's a fire hydrant and there's a dog and there's a tree and there's a car, their attention goes to the items, the objects that are there, not to the space between them necessarily. And what we need to learn to do is go to the space. Because oftentimes what happens for people is what they think is the solution to their problem. I have to do this. I have to pay my taxes by such and such a deadline. I must do this. I gotta fix this before whatever. That is their problem. The problem is what they think the solution to their problem is. And if you, for example, if there's a wall, you can go above the wall, under the wall, around the wall, through the wall. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but people fixate on one thing. And then they get caught in that one thing, and then they worry about that one thing, or they fear that one thing, or they hate the people who tell them otherwise, or they do this or they do that, and it compounds. And all of that energy and all of that focus is because they're trying to solve something.
Right.
And they're trying to push it like you can't push a rope.
Yeah.
So the key is to relax, kind of, as Sandra said, break state, breathe, get to a pause. Like, your car, you go from drive to reverse to neutral, that kind of thing. You want to get into neutral so that you can better assess what's going on. Because if you're hot in the moment and frustrated in the moment, or harried in the moment, or hassled in the moment, you're not seeing all of the options and all the possibilities that are available to you. And so what happens to people is they narrow their choices down by what they focus on, as opposed to going, wow, look at all these things in front of me. There's a house, there's a fire hydrant, there's a dog, there's a car, there's a tree, there's all these things and all the space in between. And that's my playground. Yeah. And we need to be able to open up and be more expansive instead of less. That doesn't mean you can't focus, because you do. You need to say, well, I intend to do this. Like, I intend to go to the store and pick up some bread. Now you know what you're doing, and now you can fulfill that.
Yeah.
But if you can't get to the store and you want to have bread, now the intention to get to the store and get the bread becomes an issue, because it can't be fulfilled. And so, do you understand what I'm saying? That energy
100%.
compounds, and then people get, instead of relaxing and letting go and then letting their
too tight.
So one of the things that, we always say is, whenever you're trying to figure out something, just make a choice. And people go, well, I want to make the right choice. Well, any choice might be the right choice. But if you're worried about the right choice, that's the thing that's keeping you from making the choice. And that's what people just keep missing. I have to be sure that this is right. I have to make sure I don't make a mistake. I have to be, again, it goes back to insecurity and a lack of confidence and fear and anxiety and everything else. So the more secure that you can be in yourself, the more confident, the more free, the more relaxed, the more let go, and know that any choice is better than being stuck in no choice, or being, because you can be in your car slamming the pedal to the metal and not going anywhere because you're stuck in mud or snow. Yeah. And no matter how hard you try and how fast the wheels go, you're not getting anywhere. So it's learning to stop for a second and be able to assess clearly and cleanly with like an open mind and go, what can I do right now? We have all the resources we need to make any change. And so people say, well, what should I do? You go, do anything. And they go, what do you mean do anything? Well, anything is different than what you're doing right now. And it's kind of like if you've ever gone out and you go to the store and you run into a friend, and that friend says, oh, I want you to meet so-and-so. And then you become friends with that person. And then you end up at a dinner party and you go to a movie. I mean, you never know what's going to happen because you were willing to make a choice and to be open and available, as opposed to narrowing down what you. Asking any question is better than asking the same question that's not getting you a result.
Go, Danny. Go, Danny. Go, Danny.
I just want to test something. Just play something, a little game, just in the chat, just as I'm listening to this, and I'm working the switchboard and all of the things. Switchboard. Am I old? How many people watching at some point in the life have felt an anxiety? Right. So let's get like AI anxiety. Right. There's this new thing. I'm anxious. Could I use it? Or big life problem anxiety. Right. So let us know in the comments. There's a bunch of people watching because I can see all the numbers from all the different places. Just let us know. Put a 1 in the comments in the chat if you've experienced an anxiety at some point. Right. AI anxiety terror tank. Boom, boom. Right. Everyone's putting the 1s in the chat. And I see a couple more, because if you're not writing in the chat, you're
lying to yourself.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Think of the things that you've really worried about and the things that you've really became anxious about over the years, right? And some of these things might have happened, but how many things have you worried about for days or hours or weeks or months that didn't actually happen? It just didn't happen, but you worried, right?
Yeah.
And there's a big thing in that, because you worry about it, it doesn't happen, and you don't recognize the significance of it not happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's so significant. If it does happen, that's all, man, it could be real bad, right? But when it doesn't, you just like brush that off and keep moving, right? So you don't understand the significance of it not happening. But that's a big thing, because it fuels experience. And I believe that only experience can actually fuel resilience. So if you worry about something and it doesn't happen, there's a good chance that it's not likely to happen, right? Yeah. So therefore, you can start to erode that worry and that anxiety, and you can shorten that cycle. Then you can focus on, I've got the experience now to overcome this. I'm more resilient to this. And now I can move further forward faster, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So don't underestimate the significance of stuff not happening.
Yeah.
And use that to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. And I want to jump in there because I remember Joseph McClendon says there is no fearless people, but there are people who have learned to fear less. And essentially that's what you describe, what we're all describing here when we talk about emotional intelligence, is understanding that when our emotions go high, our intelligence goes low. And, to snap out of that and come back into that logical thinking. And it's in the experience, and it's in the learning to fail forward fast. Like Rex, I remember on our podcast interview that we did probably a few months back now, 6-7 months, you were talking about, the Wright brothers story. If the Wright brothers hadn't do what they did, we wouldn't have flight as we know it today. And each failure that, essentially wasn't failure; it was just feedback.
Yep,
and
100%.
so the Wright brothers, if the Wright brothers didn't do it, they did. If Thomas Edison didn't do it, they did. X, Y, Z didn't do it, they did. If we don't do what we've got to do and learn from our mistakes and learn to put ourselves in places to fail forward fast, and we use that feedback to pivot and adjust and go bigger and better.
Yeah.
Just to cap that story, I remember an old bushman used to tell me when I was learning to ride a horse. He said, "Jeff, you don't know how to ride a horse until you've learned how to fall off 1,000 times. So go learn how to fall off 1,000 times."
Exactly.
But, the interesting thing is both those examples are the analogies I use. I go, if you don't know how to ride a horse, the horse, whether it's a stable nag or an expert horse, will take you wherever the horse wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you learn to be an expert rider, you tell the horse where to go and the horse delivers you.
And that's exactly what we've got to do with AI, right?
Right, but that's also what you do with your subconscious mind. You direct your own attention in order to be able to fulfill certain things. Yeah. Then your brain, the habits that you acquire, will deliver to you what you trained it to do, and you won't have, because you're an expert at it. You've developed yourself into an expert brain trainer, and now your brain works the way it should work. Well, with the Wright brothers, a couple of things. One, yes, they were open to taking feedback because they were willing to fail, which everybody else called them stupid and idiots. But the other thing that really people need to know is they didn't know how to fly until after they flew.
Well, there wasn't even a law, like it was just the law of gravity.
But until they actually had until they actually did it, they didn't know how to do it. They were just experimenting. And they would try this and it wouldn't work, and they'd make an adjustment. They tried that and it wouldn't work, and they made an adjustment, and then they did this and it worked, and they went, it worked. Now we know how to improve it. And this is what people get. They think they need to know how to do something before they do it. And so they don't do it because what stops them is the need to be, know how before they start. And most people, when they quit, before they get going.
Exactly. And Rex, I'm going to have to jump off soon. So I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. And there's some great comments too in the chat. And the greatest opportunity as I'm seeing, is I'm just going to wrap up, if that's okay, Rex, on my side, is, again, take a deep breath, make a commitment today, make a choice to go within. Go within and to self-discover who you are. What do you want? What is your purpose here in life? You heard a little bit about Jeff's story. Each of you have a unique, beautiful, gifted story. You were put on this beautiful earth for a purpose. So let's use that purpose for humanity. Let's use and embrace and amplify the new tools that are coming to us. They are a gift because we're able to use them as a tool, because we are the main drivers. If we let other things, other tools, external circumstances, maybe perhaps this has happened, you can imagine that in your life, other things have led you. Let's make a choice to lead ourselves in order to then be able to shift and get those beautiful results and things that we can, and make a positive impact in this world. AI is just this new, beautiful transformation. It's a new way of being. So choose today. How do you want to look at it? Because AI really, it is about metacognition awareness. It's amplifying how you think. Because what you think is what your behavior is going to demonstrate to others and what outcomes you're going to have. So if you're not happy with what you're getting, then make the choice to change. So go within. It always comes back, and bring it into your heart. Get out of your brain, connect your heart to your mind, to a higher calling and consciousness. That is the truth. This is the potential that you have in this moment. And I feel very grateful for this opportunity to share with my great friends, to have some light banter, some opportunities. We're removing the ego. We just stepped in and say, how can I expand and grow, just like AI, in this moment? So we add value, that you feel heard, you feel touched, because it's through the feelings that we make the change, right? So let's bring up our energies, have positive energy, have the gratitude, and truly just be inspired in life and live your life. As Rex always says, live life on your terms, because you can. And that's the beautifulness of this moment, of this day. So Thank you very much for having me here. I'm going to go dancing with my beautiful husband. And so I'm excited to go do that. And that's my creative, expression. So thank you so much for this, Rex. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you were here, and we wouldn't have the same conversation without you. You are a true inspiration and a true leader and a true friend and a person that everybody needs to know and work with. So I appreciate you for being here. Go have a marvelous dancing time with Mr. Horton. And we'll see you around the corner. And
thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Be the change you want to see in the world. You can check me out. I'll put my chat in there. So love to connect with you all. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.
And Danny, well, Jeff is here and Sandra's going, and Jeff.
I'm going to take off for about 10, 15 minutes, but yeah, I can stick around for a little bit longer.
We also have a reveal, right? So how do we want to do this, Danny? I'll let you take it from here with Jeff and see where we go, right?
I think one of the things we have wanted to do for a long time, just for Rex, because the amount of content that Rex has actually got is, I believe Rex has got, I don't know, ever many thousand blog posts and a gazillion videos. And we've had stuff all over the place, and trying to consolidate Rex, his masterpiece, his work into one place. And we were hoping this would have come to life. There's a few things that we're still wrestling with the security certificate. It will work on certain browsers. It's kind of filtering through the world. But I just want to share screens and just share real quick the new look rexsikestv.com. And Jeff, you can critique this a little bit off the camera if it's not so good. But hopefully this works. And I must say that in keeping with the theme, that AI has played an integral role in being able to build this in a way that it's a living, breathing document without the cumbersome databases and things that we would have to mess around with in the past, which of course Rex isn't your database guy. He's your mindset guy, right? So when it comes, hey Rex, you need to put all this stuff in your database, he's like, ugh. But we've built this in a way where Rex can actually copy and paste his links into a Google sheet, and he updates the website with the latest, greatest Rex. So I just want to share this real quick. Brand new Rex Sikes TV. We are actually live on there right now. You can see the chat. This will play us, but it'll put us in a loop. And then any future shows that Rex has got running will appear at the bottom, and then they will just appear automatically. So there's no more messing around with embed codes and different things, trying to copy and paste and do weird stuff. Literally paste your link into your spreadsheet in advance, and the website does the rest. Down the bottom, we've got all Rex's sites and courses and books and all different things. And then as we move, we've got the video archive, which will load videos from a sheet. Now, a little bit of work to do around this so we can go and put titles on and different things, but it's in its very raw form. It's coming live today. I want you guys to go on and check this out. We've also got Rex's blog, which pulls blog posts from the place. He writes the blog without having to go in here and start doing a big bunch of crazy stuff. We've got Rex's podcast up in here as well, which links to Spotify, and we've got the link to the book. So everything's combined in a mobile-friendly live stream, works on mobile, easily managed from a Google sheet, brand new Rex Sikes TV that won't struggle under the load of lots and lots of embedded videos. It pulls them in all nicely. Rex can manage it all from Google Documents, which is awesome. And this place is going to grow and get bigger and better over the course of the next few weeks. These replays will all be available in there. More live's going to be available in there. Movie Beat will be available in there. Create Your Best Life will be available in there. And all of the things beside. And I wanted to kind of bring this and reveal this while we've got a bunch of people watched on. It is rexsikestv.com. And you'll be able to get into this probably from morning now. It is working on some browsers. It is being a pain on others because of the joy of the internet. But we've spent a lot of time and effort and pulled in some help from our AI friends to enable us to do things that would have cost thousands of dollars 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it would have been out of the reach. Now we've got things that are easy to do without third-party services. And it kind of puts it back to everybody watching. What can you use AI for? What problems can you solve in your business? And how can you streamline and speed up your workflow so that every time you record a YouTube video, you copy the link, you put it in a spreadsheet, and it appears on your website. That's pretty cool. And we've got a lot more to come, but it's simple. It's straight to the point, and the way that we've designed this is so that when we are live, that gets center stage, as it does deserve. Rex Sikes TV.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I just reflecting here, and when I first started building websites back in 2009, it was just coming out of that era of having to try and HTML, use JavaScript and HTML code, and doing all that. I learned how to do all that. But then we came into, WordPress and drag and drop and themes, and now to the evolution of what we can do now. That's pretty awesome. I can definitely geek out on that. But what I love what you've done there, Danny, is I reflect on what Donald Miller says about making marketing simple, and essentially the caveman test. Yeah, it's probably a really good way to put it through. In 3 seconds or less, I can come to the website. I can identify, yep, this is for me. I can identify, okay, what problems I'm here to solve. But more importantly, straight away, what's the next steps? And I love that you've put that in play to be able to make it clean and simple, and just to be able to help Rex, curate and bring all of his content into one place, where people can go down the respective rabbit holes if they want. But you've also designed it in a way to grab people's attention right away and keep them hooked in. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Super mobile friendly as well, which was like a big part of this. And again, trying to do this 20 years ago in Dreamweaver with, loads of different. Do you remember when you had to like cut the images up into like perfect?
I know, right?
To like, oh man. So
it would have taken weeks to accomplish something like this, to be able to do it in mere moments in comparison. Yeah. It just goes to show, we don't have a problem now of speed to implementation. Like everybody has the same playing field. We just got to know how to leverage the tools like you and I know in that way to be able to go achieve that goal. And that's why I believe that, we're in a very interesting position, like, Sandra, myself, you, and all the other, amazing people like Jeff J. Hunter and Jonathan Marston, the list goes on, in a position with that, great responsibility. Does come great power, but with great power comes great responsibility as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think being able to look at the tools you've got available, we mentioned quite a few, obviously ChatGPT, Claude, things like Gamma.app that was mentioned earlier by Jeff Olm, who was with us earlier. Just being able to use that to solve some of your frustrations, so you can do more things with the people that matter, like while it still matters.
Yeah,
that's important, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like I love that, and you highlight that. So my son had his 12-year-old birthday the other day. And what we did, so, I'm all about teaching him how to embrace this space and up-level and build those skills up as well. My son actually does all of our podcast editing and publication side of things. We've just got him doing all that. I pay him $30 an episode. He's the richest kid in year 7. And away he goes. But with his birthday, what we did was we went over to Suno, so suno.com. We created a little lyric using ChatGPT to come up with a rap song. We then turned that into a song using Suno. And then I went to Google Flow and we created these videos to go with each of the scenes. And we created an AI music video together, celebrating my message, and basically the message, the theme was how proud of I am as his father, watching him grow up. And it was turned into a rap song.
Yeah.
And you just see his heart light up. His smile, like he's just so proud. He feels so seen and valued in that conversation. Now, 3 months after the fact, he's now experimenting and he's playing around, writing his own songs, creating his own little music videos, and he's only 12.
Yeah, so good. I think the power of what we've got right now, the power of the AI, the prompts, all of the things that we can combine with the things that we know and love, like YouTube. When you put those things together, there's not only impact to be made, there's money to be made.
Course.
And you always want to put the impact before the money, right? But the money's nice. Yes. It keeps the machine turning.
Well, it has a bigger impact, right? If you look at it that way.
Yeah, and I think it's your responsibility as an entrepreneur to go out there and overcome those fears. You're obliged to do that because there's no better time to be creative. There's no better time to go online and try. And like we said earlier, you could be anxious about that, but even if you do fail, it's not going to be as bad as you envisage, right? In fact, it's probably going to be pretty painless. You've just got to keep moving because they're not failures, they're experiences. Yeah. And it's the experience that builds the resilience. And then before you know it, you do something in the moment that ends up getting a gazillion views.
Right.
And you can change the way you impact on people's lives. You can change your income. You can change a lot of other things in the moment just by trying and just by starting.
I find that I've just got to head off in 5 minutes, but just to expand on that thought a bit, and this is why I do what I do, is at the moment, right? Like there's a lot of AI experts out there, and so we've got to find a way to zig when everybody's zagging, needless to say. And so what I've found here is I've been the website guy, I've been the funnel guy, I've been the social media guy, I've been the e-commerce guy, I've been the network marketing guy, and so I've been all of those hats over the last 17 years. Now carving, and it's what I know that you've done, Danny, as well, is carving our own path to be unique and still serve in that collective of collaboration. So what AI has supported me over this last 2 years is I'm now branding myself as the go-to guy to help you to use AI to find your voice.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually an acronym that we pulled together. So, V is for values, for vision, getting that heart space right away, unpacking what Jim Collins talks about in Good to Great, your ikigai spot, finding that sweet spot. And then O stands for origin story. Being able to, use storytelling to connect with people, which then leads into I space, which is I is about influence, but it's also about intimacy and your ideal client, that type of thing. So, who it is you're serving and why it is you're serving. More importantly, why would they want to work with you in that space? And then, so where are we? So V, voice. So then C, then once you get those right, leads into your clarity, which clarity just reinforces your connection in that space. And then that leads to E, which is expression, energy, that space. So you create that unique environment around that. Hence the caffeinated kangaroo, right? It's like, I remember reading one of Russell Brunson's book, .com Secret X, about 10 years ago, and he talks about, the customer avatar and the story profile and all that. And so I've read all these books, but, I've never really been able to pull it off like I can now today, because of like the unlocked ability that AI has now created for that conversation. So you pull all that together, you find your voice. So what we do and how we do it doesn't change, but the why we do it, the impact of it all, it raises above the noise. It goes deep, but it also then lifts us up, which is about that impact piece to be able to go have a greater good to the connection of the community around us. So, guys, I've got to run, but Rex, thank you very much for personally inviting me to this conversation. This has definitely topped up my soul tank, and I live and breathe for these things. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. And for those who don't know, you're beginning your day in Tasmania. You've been up there for a couple of hours, maybe 3 or more hours before we got to see you. But thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful rest of your day and we'll be talking because we've got lots more to accomplish together. But thank you for being here, for being a friend and just an overall incredible person who walks their talk and seeks to add value to everyone that you know. And I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
guys. So, guys, let's just get out there, leverage AI to find your voice, and then go and share your voice and amplify it to the world. Thank you very much for your time. Stay caffeinated. Stay legendary. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Jeff. Well, hey, Danny, it's you and me. And I was listening while I was busy doing something else. And we're going to shift gears to go into the videopromptbuilder.com workshop. So if you're watching live or if you have been watching today or you just jumped on, go ahead and share that link. Go ahead and use that link to enroll, because Danny's going to do a powerful program coming up in just a few minutes. And what, about 6 minutes, I think, right?
Yep, 100%.
So I didn't even get to see the website that you were talking about, which is But if you viewers liked what you saw, this guy over here, he put all that together and does so many magical things. I mean, in terms of being a marketing guru, a tech guru, I mean, and another wonderful good guy, and somebody I've known for a number of years now, and I'm very pleased to call a friend. If you like what you see, you got to reach out to Danny.
Reach out to Rex. Reach out to the agent. Now, Rex, I've got to go to the other studio to get ready. I'm going to send you the link to join the studio. I've put the link to actually watch us live because this starts like imminently. And we're going to get into AI. We're going to get into prompts. I need my computer and all of the things to kind of show you some stuff. You're not going to believe what you see. And I'm going to focus on one thing, just how your ability to make a structured prompt can literally create movie quality videos in no time at all. And these videos, people are using them to make thousands of dollars online and make massive impact online and go viral online. So I'm hoping that everybody joins us at rex.videopromptbuilder.com. You need to head on over there to there's another chat. So as you start heading over there, Rex is going to play this out. I'm going to go get ready in the studio. Rex, I'll send you the link.
Before you do, in the chat room, you have that link.
Yes.
So if people who are watching us have that link, that's great. Otherwise, it's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
So either way,
when you get there, you get another chat room. So now we can chat for another 2 hours while I teach you a big bunch of cool stuff and blow your mind. And you can take these things, you can practice them straight away, and you can make some money and go viral online. That's the plan.
That's a deal. And I'm going to be there. So if you're watching live now, be there now. Danny, I got a question for you. What if somebody, this show is recorded? Is this a workshop going to be available to people if they're not here live right now?
No.
So this is their one opportunity.
One opportunity. You need to join. You need to watch. You need to give us 60 minutes. By the end of the 60 minutes, it'll change your entire mindset of how you use AI. You can go out there and you can start crushing it tomorrow. Brand new week on Monday. You make a lot of money, make a lot of impact, potentially. Can never guarantee that. You might make nothing, but you might do nothing, right? And that's the worst thing you could do. So before you make something, you've got to do something. I'm going to go over there now and start getting ready. Rex, I'll see you in there in a few minutes. We're going to start promptly. The link's on the screen. I'll see you over there very soon. Goodbye, everybody. And Rex has been awesome. Big shout out to Jeff, Sandra. We'll see everybody next time.
And to Danny.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's awesome. And that brings us to conclude this Rex and Friends discussion on how you can manage your mindset and change your life and transform it so that you can add value to not only yourself, but to other people. And we're going to be going into the live workshop on AI with Danny Walsh in just a few minutes. So go ahead and click that link. Go ahead and enroll right now. You got one chance. I mean, it's not going to be offered again. And before you go ahead. And if you got value and you want to comment, please put it in the chat. This program can be shared, I believe, multiple times, the Rex and Friends. But the workshop is a whole other separate issue. Whether we do another one at another time is anybody's guess at this moment. So don't miss the opportunity today to jump into that and learn something that can really revolutionize your business and your life. And I'm so glad that you've been here, that you participated. Let's go, exactly. And that you participated and that you've asked questions and you've made comments and you devoted your time and energy and effort to be with us now. And I hope that you'll do the same, and we'll see you over in the other workshop. I'm Rex Sikes. This has been an episode of Rex Sikes and Friends, Rex and Friends on rexsikestv.com. And if you like that website, and I still have to check it out because I haven't seen all of it yet, but if you like the website, know that that is something that is eminently doable and possible for you too. And you can reach out to me, and we'll share how that can happen for you. But now go hit rexvideopromptbuilder.com. And we'll see you over there. Thanks so much for your attention, your time, your energy, and for adding value to us. I hope we've added value to you. Much love, peace, and blessings. And what I always say at the end of Create Your Best Life with Rex. Oh, and by the way, there's 2 shows: Create Your Best Life with Rex and Rex Sikes Movie Beat. So be sure, if whatever trips your trigger, whatever you like, or if you like both, watch both. And the blog and the programs, you can get my book, any number of things. The Attitude Activator, so many good things. But do it. Take action. Do something. And the first action today is to hit that link, enroll in the program if you haven't already, share it to somebody else so they can do so too. And we're going to start in just a moment or two. I'll see you later. If you consider something a problem, you know it's a problem. If you consider something a blessing, it's a blessing. So celebrate everything. And I'm Rex Sikes. Bye for now.